I just wanted to sort of go over what happened that day. Sherry, you live in Franklin County, North Carolina, is that correct?
Right.
And I understand that on this particular day in question that Ted Rollins, y'all live in a rural area?
Yes.
And that he was mowing, and your son and Ted's stepson, who was 14 at the time, he was asked to mow an area that I think a real difficult area to mow. Is that your understanding that Ted had instructed him to mow a certain area that was real steep? And
I was not aware of what was said between Ted and Zach. I came on the scene of the assault when I heard loud screams and loud talking and the dog barking. So I walked outside with Sarah, my daughter, who was about 18 months old, on my hip, and I saw Ted on top of Zach with his knees around his chest. Zach was flat on his back and Ted was on his knees pounding his face repeatedly with his fist.
And Ted was much bigger than
Ted's 6'4", and Zach at the time weighed roughly, I'd say, 100 pounds, 100.
So he's a little boy.
He's very thin, yeah.
And he was pretty much defenseless, it sounds like.
Well, he was defenseless in that Ted, is so big, and at the time weighed around 200 plus pounds. I'd say 225, 230 at least. And he was on top of him, sitting on Zach's abdomen area and holding him down with his knees and pounding him in the face. So, he had no choice except to take the strikes that were coming at him and to be able to try to move his head from side to side.
Were you concerned that Zach may be beaten to death at this?
I put Sarah down and I ran for the phone, and at the time all I had was a house phone, so I ran inside and got the house phone, and I called Zach's father in Alabama, and I took the phone out and put it on Ted's ear and said, "You've got to stop being Zach. Zach's father wants to talk to you." He just ignored me. I, at that point, threw the phone down, jumped on his back, and shook him repeatedly and pulled at him, trying to pull him off of Zach. And I ripped his entire shirt, which was made of like a cotton knit golf shirt, and fabric like that's pretty hard to tear. So I ripped the shirt completely off of him and tried to pull him off of him. So when that didn't have any effect on Ted's hitting Zach, I dialed 911. And only when Ted heard the 911 sirens go off, which were near our house, from the ambulances and that kind of thing, did he get off of Zach.
What was Zach's appearance like when Ted finally got off of him, and did he appear to be injured?
Well, I couldn't tell what his injuries were exactly. He was stumbling as he walked, and he walked toward the house, and he was dizzy and stumbling, and his face was solid blood. It was as if he had no eyes,
His face was covered in blood?
Completely. There was no way of seeing his eyes, how he walked with the blood in his eyes, I don't know. But he stumbled into the house, and I told him to wait that ambulance was coming, and he said he felt like he should get the gun that his dad gave him for Christmas, and he started looking for the gun, and I asked him what he was planning to do, and he said, well, I'm going to go use it on him, you know. But
So he wanted
he wanted to kill Ted, yes.
and Ted left the premises before the law enforcement got there?
Ted hopped into his car while Zach and I were inside, and before the ambulance and the sheriff's department got there, and he fled the scene. And
then Zach, I'm sorry.
we didn't hear from Ted for a month or so, and then when we saw him in court after Zach pressed charges against him.
Zach pressed charges,
Mm-hmm.
and Zach went to the emergency room. Do you remember generally what his injuries were? Obviously, he had bleeding. Did he have any broken bones that you remember, or any? Obviously, must have had contusions and.
In the ambulance, Sarah, my daughter, and I rode with Zach in the ambulance, and I believe he might have been given oxygen. He was, I don't know, he was badly beaten, and
Did he have a broken nose that you know of? Or?
yes, and he had lacerations around his mouth. He wore braces at the time, and Ted had repeatedly beaten his mouth area until there were pieces of his the inside of his lips
Mm-hmm.
hanging down. And,
Sure, I'd like to ask you this quickly. You and I neither one are experts on North Carolina criminal law, but my understanding is there's simple assault, which this wound up being charged in court as a misdemeanor, and I believe there's felony assault, which involves more serious bodily injury, or you know. From what you saw that day, just as a citizen, did this appear to be more than just a simple assault? It was more than a push, or
that's an easy one, Roger. If Ted had walked up to Zach and had a conversation with him where Zach might have said something that Ted didn't agree with, if he had hit him once or pushed him or even punched him once, I guess, you know, that to me might have fallen into simple assault, but what I saw and the amount of time that Ted was on that, there was nothing simple about it. It was a beating.
It was a beating. It sounded like it would qualify for child abuse, perhaps.
In the world that we live in today, he'd probably still be classified as child abuser and probably doing time.
Yeah. Well, we want to discuss some other topics, but thank you, Sharon, and we'll be back.